Rob, and this is our team. We were working with designing a clothing storage unit that is resistant to tipping because every year hundreds of kids die and thousands are injured. And 91% of people don't use existing anchoring methods just because of how tiresome they are. So we were tasked with designing a solution that didn't require those anchoring methods.
So our main safety features are our doors right here. So in order to use the dresser, you have to open up the doors, right? So now if a kid were to try to tip this over, say by climbing on one of the doors, and the dresser starts to tip, the doors right here will prevent it from tipping. This cubby area, also we took out the top dresser in order to reduce the moment arm that can be applied, but still keep the storage. Now in order to account for the doors being closed, we added some safety features in the back, which Becca will talk more about.
To the back, we have shortened the lowest drawer and installed two weight cartons. So this is a prototype, and if this was mass manufactured, the cartons would be like milk jugs, but thicker, just a plastic storage material that you could fill with either water or sand. We've accounted for a variety of different materials in our calculations, and the lightest material that we would use, water, supplies enough weight, almost over 40 pounds of weight, to the back of the dresser that would prevent the dresser from tipping over if the doors were closed and the child was pushing or pulling on the front. So to talk about the testing that we did is Mary.
So in order to prove that our dresser can actually withstand the weight of a child, we used weights and the standard ASTM testing measures. We increased the weight to 70 pounds though to accommodate for modern day weights. It accommodates for 97% of 5-year-olds today in the US. So as you can see, the dresser does not tip when 70 pounds is added to the uppermost drawer. That was 75 actually. And if we did start to tip, the doors would be there to prevent it from tipping all the way. We also tested the doors and added 70 pounds to those, and they both withheld the weight and did not tip. As you can see. So started tipping a little bit, but nothing too bad. In addition, we also did horizontal testing on the open doors in case a kid tried to pull it horizontally out. We did this on both carpet and on hardwood flooring. A child can pull about 27 pounds, and it starts to slide or tip at around 50, so it can definitely withstand a child's weight.
It's 56.
And can I just ask a question? The original dresser that you started with, did it pass the 50-pound test?
Not at all. It tipped at about 20 pounds. Big increase.
Yeah, main improvements. We're looking to improve a couple of different aspects, but nothing too much as far as design aspects go. We're looking to clean up some of the aesthetics by adding a little flap in the back to cover that hole that you saw in order to access the weights. And then a little bit of research into different types of hinges that can be used, as well as just material finish. As far as what type of wood is used, whether it be a veneer finish or another type of wood as well. As well, I'm looking into different types of design aspects that improve aesthetics. As you can see, we use chalkboard paint just to make it a little bit more kid-friendly, but we can look into other things as well in order to make it a little bit more of a kid dresser, children's dresser. So, yeah. So, a main aspect that I saw was the fact that most things when designed are designed to meet a certain aspect, which, for example, a clothing storage unit would be designed in order to store children's clothes, but just in order to meet other standards that are set up. When the standards that are set up aren't quite up to the point where they need to be in order to allow for children's safety, then the company needs to start thinking about the fact that they need to start designing so that the item is then safe for children, which is something that we saw because we still designed the dresser in order to store clothes, but then another aspect of our design was that it's then safe for kids.
process of this project, a lot of us, we researched these statistics. We found that, injury is super, super frequent. And I think that one of the things, just the knowing and the learning, like, there are thousands and thousands of deaths a year, tens of thousands, just in America, just from furniture, not even like appliances and television. This is just from like furniture falling. And so I think the awareness that we have learned from this really helps to emphasize like how people think, oh, it's not going to be me, it's not going to be my kid. I watch them a lot. Like, I don't leave them alone for that long, but it takes like a minute. It takes you sleeping and them getting up before you in order to have your child be injured or potentially killed. And so I think that the thing that I took most from this project, in addition to building the dresser and the safety, was just realizing how important safety is in your house, and how you shouldn't think that it won't happen to me, because that's how all of these children get injured, because parents think that.
So one of the most important things that this project brought to my mind was how standards change over time, and I think from now on I'll just have that in mind, to look at the standards and to make sure that they're still applicable and still up to par with what you're doing now, because that's really important and that can affect people's lives.
Alright, so the main thing that I learned during the design selection process was that you don't necessarily have to push innovative boundaries. At the end of the day, what we designed was still just a dresser, and so we just needed a simple solution, like adding doors, as opposed to using some type of pulley system or some complex electronics. It's not necessarily necessary. A simple solution can be the most effective.